Time, he's waiting in the winds. He speaks of senseless things. His script is me and you. Boy. Oh my god, I've been speaking about time, but actually we are here for CM Kozeman's Field Guide to Dreams. Well, anyways, it's not a far miss, cause what else are dreams if not the shadows of time on the pattern-seeking mind? Welcome everybody for a brief but brightly illustrated video podcast on the types of dreams one has and what they might just potentially mean for our appreciation of the world. Yes, everyone, before going on this dreamy escapade though, I just got one request from you, okay? I'm doing all these things on my own, providing you with the selection of eccentric and erudite content. And I would really appreciate if you could just pop over to Patreon or buy me a coffee and make me a donation. You will always get something back in return, including a downloadable version of this presentation so you can impress your friends with it, and many other things besides. My entire selection of dreamy surrealist artwork is accessible through Patreon, for example. So yeah, please put your money where your ears and eyes are. I would really appreciate it. Look, before starting, we can talk endlessly about the role that dreams play in art and in history and the weird edges in which their mystery bleeds over to real life. As a surreal artist, I have been keeping a dream journal for over 15 years now, and I've been very careful about what types of dreams come and go, So in this big video about the field guide to dreams, I just decided to classify the types of dreams according to my purely personal and subjective experience over the last 15 years. I try to be quote-unquote objective about this, and I try to give a rational breakdown, and I arrived at basically 7 major types of dreams. Now, one by one, we're just going to go over them. If you got any additions or if you want to lump or split categories, please let me know in the comments. And with that said, here we go. To begin with, we have the sort of basic reflex kinds of dreams. Now, these are dreams in which you just see what you've been doing for the previous part of your waking experience. Imagine you've been going skiing or running, and this also happens to me when I change my location. So if I arrive at a new city and I go maybe, walking or something, or maybe if I take performance in some sort of sports after a long time not doing it, then in the night, like a silly fat dog dreaming and moving its legs about, I see myself doing the kind of same thing. So these are basic reflex dreams. Maybe they bleed over into some of the other categories we'll see later on, but yeah, these are what they are. Then slightly above but related to this are dreams about hopes and fears, and these are related to our waking life again. I mean, these are maybe based on events we had during the day. Maybe if our work life is not going well, we have nightmares about our job. Or sometimes there's this thing called a delayed catharsis. That is to say, we dream of things we wanted to say or do, but could not at the time. It's like this amazing comeback that comes 2 weeks later when somebody disses you, or something like that. Also, in my personal hopes and fears section, I have a lot of dreams featuring family members or dreams about basically my childhood. I mean, I often go back to my childhood house and I see myself there, and like certain other nostalgic details, like the even simple things like the type of heating or the kinds of electronics that were around when I was growing up. So I chalked these all up to the hopes and fears section. Slightly downhill from that is the extraneous views kind of dreams. Now, these are different from the previous sections of dreams because in these dreams we do not see the sorts of things that we have experienced in our daily lives. This is where imagination begins to step into the game. I often have personally lots of weird landscape dreams about like certain parts of town that that really feel real. I mean, but they're not real. A common dream that I kept having like at least 4 times, and I can attest this with written records. At least 4 times, I dreamt about a place called Beşiktaş, which is a neighborhood of Istanbul where I live that I really like to go. Except that this Beşiktaş looked nothing like the real life Beşiktaş. I can even picture it. There's like a stony hill in the middle of a old part of town. The buildings are all made out of stone, but they also look like modern apartment buildings. But they're maximum like 2-3 stories tall, kind of like Mediterranean architecture. And this place is full of like decrepit old business arcades and commercial buildings, but right in the middle of it there's like a small but tall rocky hill, and you can actually climb footpaths on this hill in this quote-unquote weird Beşiktaş and go up to this kind of bar or like club that plays really eccentric weird music, and it's always full of these like attractive women or weird characters that I've never seen. Like, this place does not exist in life, but I keep dreaming about it. I keep going back to it. This non-Beşiktaş Beşiktaş. And if you have similar dreams, please let me know. I often wondered, like, I used to joke around, maybe this is like Beşiktaş in a tangent universe. In certain dreams, I can even remember names of these places that never existed. And let me just look it up. In one dream, I went to a place. It's a town in the eastern part of Turkey, supposedly. But actually, there are 2 cities there that nobody ever knew about, and they're called Marsilya, and the other one is called Gadazelles, like Marsylya and Gadaselles, Marsilya and Gadaselles. And this is just incredible. Another very common extraneous view dream I have is always about going back to this weird pet shops and weird zoos. Now, as a caveat, in primary school I used to go to a cram study course because there was a really unfair education system in which at like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or 12 years old, you were expected to really cram for a big exam if you wanted to go to a good elementary school. So, being lucky, my parents sent me off to this cram study place, and it was just shit. But I used to go study there. This is not a dream, by the way. This is something that really happened. I used to go study there, and then I would leave early. Sometimes I would actually never go to the class at all. But I would go to a nearby shop that was probably Istanbul's first and foremost smuggler of exotic reptiles and fish. And I could never forget this experience. I must have been like 11 or 12, not even a teenager. And I had the stress and fears about this studying in this stupid fucking place. And the quote-unquote teachers there were like, really, this place was a total hellhole. The teachers were abusive, the kids were dumb, and I just would have studied better if they just left me at home. But I could escape this place and go to the animal smuggler illegal pet shop next door. And now that place, it was full of these marine aquariums, full of like clownfish, boxfish, those like blue ribbon eels or like cichlids. And then they had the herpetology section. They had all these like illegally caught chameleons. They must have had a direct line of import from Asia, because they all had these like sapsucker lizards or strange geckos or gliding dragons, and also these Ahautella wine snakes, these like snakes with like green pointed snouts. Really cool. Now of course this was like an awful smuggling operation, but like, so that thing worked its way into my mind, like it was a formative experience for me. Years later, even to this day, like I just had a dream like this literally 3 days ago, and I am recording on the 2nd of July 2024. I still dream about going to a pet shop or flipping stones in a strange place, and I always find these extremely realistic but strange and improbable animals. Like in one dream, I kept finding these turtles, but they were like the size of cockroaches, and their shells had degenerated into lots of black shiny scutes, and they had huge eyes. It was like a turtle reduced to the size of one of those tiny geckos or Brochysia chameleons, and it was extremely realistic. They even moved in a like jerky way. Like another dream would be like I would see this really strange thing on the wall. I would assume maybe it's like some sort of chewing gum or like some stain, but I would go closer. I could like put my hands in the wall and like in the dream could remember the individual grains of the texture on the wall. And there would be this thing like a flattened gecko. It had this flat sort of half moon shaped face and a flat half moon shaped tail. And it was really, really realistic. Incredible extraneous visions. Now this is where I think the dream thing starts to get really strange and a bit uncanny, because these are not just like my hopes and fears, they're not memories of my family or childhood, or they're not my like daytime worries about like work, money and stuff. And by the way, money is becoming a daytime worry, so please, if you liked what I've been telling to you so far, go and support me on patreon.com. I please, I beg of you. Anyway, but these are completely external, but I don't know, in a way they feel like these weird things generated by these AI image generators. They throw up things that seem real but are not real. But in another way, there seems to be so much more to them. I mean, the realistic turtles, like, why would I not just dream of a small turtle? And why do I dream about this like anatomically correct microanatomy turtle? I cannot understand for the life of me. And it gets stranger. I mean, another extraneous vision is, I think, music. I have these very, very prominent dreams where I dream of this incredible musical tune. Sometimes I could even like take this tune out of the dream world to the real life. And I have a little recorder I keep on my bedside, and I can like flip it on and mumble the song into it. A lot of times it's just crap, but but sometimes the melodies are really catchy. And it's like, there's this one theme that goes like, like ascending and descending. It sounds like shit, but it's still remarkable, because these things, these concepts, they are the only actual products, if you can say, the only actual concepts you can bring from the dream world into the real world. And it's just like, it doesn't need any fancy woo explanation, but it's literally something you drag up kicking and screaming or squirming like a freshly caught deep water fish. You bring it into the waking world. And like, I think the music is extremely prominent in that respect. so are the dreams about actual weird animals. And then there are sometimes more mundane but still strange extraneous visions. Like I dream about unknown people that really look real and look like they're like actual peoples, I always used to think, like, is this like a kind of case of the wires crossing, when I dream about these people that seem so lifelike, and they're not like nightmarish people either. Like, I mean, there are those too, and we will get to them. But really, they really think like ordinary people. It's like chat roulette. It's like dream chat roulette. You flip on a screen and you suddenly see a person randomly on your screen, and they seem really realistic. But then again, there are these AI applications that generate, like, a popular case is this person does not exist. If you don't know, just visit thispersondoesnotexist.com, and there's this AI that generates really lifelike portraits of people. But I always think these analogies are faulty. Yes, the AI softwares can, help us generate lots of strange visuals, but I think there's something more in these extraneous vision dreams. If you accept the premise that dreams may have an extraneous source, then maybe we are seeing animals, people, or things that took place in parallel lives or parallel universes, or maybe we are linking up with the visions of the future or the past, or in cases of people, maybe we are just linking up with random other people who are just sleeping and they just happen to dream about us, and it's just eerie. And sometimes you get situations that seem very lifelike, but they do not feel like reflex continuations of, like, they're not like you going back to your childhood school nightmare or facing your school bully or meeting up with a family member or something. There's something more to these extraneous visions, and I just find them extremely strange. Slightly up the ladder, maybe these could have been lumped in the same category, or I may have made this border more fluid. But then you have these lucid dreams, where you once again dream about a reality that you don't know from your memory. So this is not like going back to your childhood or like visualizing your girlfriend's house or whatever, This is like actually a vision of an exact place, but it's very detailed. It's so detailed that you can, like, I don't know if this happens to you, but please let me know in the comments if it does. I recently had a dream like this. I was for some reason in a summer house left vacant by art students, and I could remember the plan of the house. I could remember the kinds of tiles they had on the ground, the color of the paint on the walls. I could go to a specific room, turn back and go back to that room, and everything would be in the right place. There were even drawings left over by the art students taped up on the wall, and I could just zoom in, and I kid you not, I could see my hand touching the wall and caressing the paper. I remember the texture of the paper. I remember what the drawings looked like on the paper, and they were all about this girl and her boyfriend, and like I think the girl drew this picture, and like she had drawn herself and her boyfriend as like characters from the Matrix movies or something. I shit you not, I really am not making this up. You have to take my word for it, but it's just bizarre. And like the doors, the kind of wood texture on the wall doors, and like the kitchen, the things in the fridge, they were all there. I could turn back and they would be there again. Now I could only maintain this for a short time, but it really felt real. And this reminded me of this gateway project that the CIA and its affiliates carried out in the 1970s, where they tried to train people to basically have deep meditation, lucid dreams. And I kid you not, they gave them orders to visualize a Russian missile base or a Navy base or something. And I am in the process of doing a deep dive research into this gateway tapes and the gateway project and the CIA remote viewing projects rabbit hole. But they report some successes. But then again, I always ask myself, did I go to like an actual person's house that night? Or is my mind just really good at generating this stuff without me knowing about it? But there's also context. I would like maybe more inclined to the like, oh, it's just your neurons firing on blank kind of thing, like your neurons firing rapidly. But is there a neuron for like such context, a house that art students used to live in, and there's even their like daily doodles on the walls, and I mean they even had like low calorie yogurt in the fridge, and it's just uncanny. I mean, then again, maybe the human mind is a really, really strong relationship seeking, pattern seeking engine. Maybe I'm just a creative motherfucker, who the fuck knows? But maybe I was really there in somebody's house. Or maybe it's somebody's house in a slightly parallel universe. So not on this universe, but there's that kind of thing, like there's a version of you who's wearing blue instead of red for the day. That sort of parallel universe. It's not a big, wildly different world. It's not like a world where the like Confederacy won or like the atomic bomb was never invented. No, but it's a world where just one person woke up and wore a different t-shirt. Or two housemates hired house A instead of house B. How do I know which world I am viewing these from? And like at what degree does the parallel universe mesh into my own universe? Because there are an infinite number of particles. I mean, there are probably there are like near infinite parallel universes that are exactly the same as this universe, except that one grain of sand fell to the left instead of the right, and nobody fucking cares. But it's just different. And maybe that sort of granularity is where dreams start to diverge, The lesser diverging dreams are more familiar. You see these like very realistic looking but not real, quote unquote, people you never known. And then maybe there are more divergent dreams, dream worlds, parallel universes where turtles evolved microscopic forms, or like this flat head, flat tail gecko evolved, or I don't know. Maybe you are viewing different versions of yourself. Or maybe parts of a thing that is you but also other people. Who is to say we are monadic, So this always gets me going. And with these lucid dreams, I also have a very prominent detail to report. When I'm in these lucid dream situations where it's extremely I can look into a potted plant, I can see the grains of soil at the bottom of the plant pot. I could shuffle them around and they stay that way. Now when this happens in certain dreams, I remember a very colorful, glowing, yellowish orange border around my view of reality. And I always rationalize this as maybe the portal I'm weaving this through. But sometimes as I drift out of these states, the border shrinks and closes. Then I'm thrown into this kind of more animal kind of dreams where, okay, there's a man, but I look again, it's a dog, and I look, I'm falling again, and I woke up. Okay, that's sort of you get thrown down to the lower level of the dream chute, let us say. But yeah, these lucid dreams, they're incredibly strange. Another sub-variety I catalog within this thing, but maybe I should have made it a separate category, is the dream within a dream situation. And this has happened to me, and almost always with lucid dreams. So maybe they're actually this second tier dreams. You have the shitty, random, everything melts into the other kind of dream. The kind of dream that, it's a red car, but no, actually it's a kiddie slide. No, wait, we are in the sea now. I woke up. Like, so if you dream in that dream, you get to the lucid world where you get to sniff the panty drawers of these art student girls. Sorry, girls, just had a dream. Didn't mean to be there. Oh, but yeah, this is just very, very strange. And I had a dream where I had 3, like at most, maybe you had more, but my record from my dream journals is a dream where I had a dream inside a dream inside a dream. So 3 levels. That's as deep as I got. And I don't know. Like, once again, look, I'm not being new agey and woo-woo about this. Maybe just people's minds are extremely creative. I mean, people dream up these incredible stories, so there's no reason why we can't dream up very detailed but very realistic non-realities as we sleep. But it's just the context and the sheer, like, non-randomness. I would be more inclined to accept a kind of it's all in my mind skull box kind of thing if these were just random stuff. But there's a seeming context and angle of these things which always, like, gets my noggin jogging, Just really, really weird. Then you got this final class of dreams that I call prophetic dreams. And I have only had like 5 or 6 such dreams. And when they come, usually like once in every 2 years or 3 years. But these are dreams in which either something I saw later became reality without me knowing about it. So like verifiably prophetic. And these are just really mundane. I mean, I had like cases. Then these are too personal as well. So I'm trying to be discreet but open about them. So I categorize them with several categories, okay? So there are visions of future with intent. That is to say, maybe I'm worried about a future job offer, or like a future trip, or like, I don't know, the medical condition of a relative. And I dream something about this actual real life concern, and then it comes out to be true. Now, this is the easiest category to dismiss because, of course, if you're worried about something, you think about it day and night, and chances are, especially if it's like a two-sum game, like let's say, knock on wood, like your mother is sick, she either dies or she gets better, okay? Now, if you have dreams where she gets better, and then she does get better, well, you just saw the future, but you are kind of always thinking about this thing too, huh? So it's a vision of future with intent. Now I can chalk this up to just like byproducts of a worried mind, and we all have these cases, every day, every one of us. Like, if you're going through harsh times, please know that there's nobody on earth without woes and uncertainty in their lives, even if they seem comparatively better off than you. Anyways, that was just a side note. But then there are visions of future without intent. Now, this is extremely strange, because I've had these things where, like, one of these dreams was about like this weird, big-eyed, petite, dark girl coming to me from the waves and telling me like she will either kill herself or me, okay? Oh my God. And this happened like in the early 2010s. Years later, I met a very similar character, and I'll just leave it at that. Oh my. But like, the look was the same, the attitude. God damn. God fucking damn. And then there were these other cases where these are the weirdest ones because they're so mundane. But let's say with an advance of 2 years, I dreamt that I was in like a subway in Sydney, Australia, whatever. And then after 2 years, like I could not have predicted this. Actually, this is a prophetic dream that's very mundane, so I can really like tell you about this, you know. I kept having these dreams where I was on a subway in Sydney, and it was like a well-lit subway, whatever. 2 years passed. I published a book about graveyard photographs of a certain syncretic Jewish group in Turkey. It's called, go to cmkozumen.com and go to the books section. There's a book called Osman Hasan and the Tombstone Photographs of the Dönmez. After I had this dream, I finished publishing this book. It's a book of visual history, so it got a lot of attention from academic circles, and I had myself invited to an academic conference in Sydney. And when I was in Sydney, I spent like nearly a month there with some family friends, and I took the subway. Fucking subway looks the same. Goddamn subway looks the same. I can't understand this for the life of me, but it's a very mundane thing. Like even the weird death girl in the waves, you can chalk it up. Yeah, because you know I was always attracted to such characters, so you think about them, you fantasize. But I mean, I know what I've seen, but still, you could still chalk it up to like, the guys only think about one thing, and okay. But this thing about like this extremely mundane but singular detail, like subways of Sydney, Australia, I don't know. I just don't know. Make of this what you will. You just have to take my word for it, but I'm really becoming, like, I'm pouring my heart out for you guys, okay? A different category in these prophetic dreams are visions of dead relatives. And yes, I mean, whenever a close relative died in my life, I saw their vision just 1 or 2 nights before they died, especially when they were sick. This happened to me with my maternal grandfather, and we knew he was sick. And one night I had a dream about him saying, "I will be okay. My dear son, just take care of yourself." Next morning I woke up. My mother calls. I was living alone at the moment. My mother calls. Says, your grandfather passed away. I mean, you can be as materialistic as you like, but I would like to believe that something like this happened. But of course, let us be skeptical. I knew my grandfather was sick, and we kind of were feeling that, it was any day now. But I did not dream about him any time before. But that night I dreamt of him, and that morning we learned that he passed. I don't know, make of this what you will, but if you had similar experiences, please let me know in the comments. And then the final prophetic kind of dream is the divine presence or the divine nightmare presence kind of dream. Actually, if you go to my videos on this YouTube channel, there's a video specially about such a dream where I had a very, very weird, realistic, quote-unquote, alien abduction dream. But, okay, all other dreams, even including the lucid dreams, you were dreaming. These dreams, these happen like once every 10 years. And you really feel that you're in the presence of an external being. And all these dreams take place in the setting of your house. Once again, maybe it's a parallel universe where you are in your house, everything is different. You are in your house, everything is the same, except that in this parallel universe, a fly decided to fly left instead of right, and nobody gave a fuck. But these dreams always take place in your waking existence. Like this nightmarish vision I recently had was like an alien abduction, but like literally somebody came from I was sleeping alone, and somebody came from the hallway of my house and took me somewhere else. it wasn't like a dream. I really felt like I was there. And I had to convince myself, like, I didn't tell this at the time, but I just had to, like, this is funny, but when this happens, masturbate furiously and the fear goes away, and that's what I did. I just had, like, oof. I had a goon session, and only then was I able to go back to sleep because it was so real. I had another dream where I had a beneficial version of this thing. This was years and years ago when I was, let's say, like, working a tough advertising job. And in my sleep, I was confronted with this presence. It looked like a very tall goddess figure. It was like 9 meters tall. Oh, translate that into feet, I don't know. It was as tall as 3 people standing on each other's shoulders, okay? And it came to me from outside. And I was filled with such a euphoric, it was like being sedated. I knew everything was gonna be okay. Even if I died, even if I lost my job, whatever, I would be okay. There was something really maternal about this figure. I remember, like, it had a white body, shimmering body, like the shade of white you see here. But its hands and its face were dark, like this, but outlined with white light. And it filled me with such a optimistic sensation. Back in those days, I was more cynical and pessimistic, but I mean, if you've been following my channel for a while, I'm a pretty, like, unfazable person, and that dream was one of the junctions at which I acquired this outlook on life. The other was at a party, my 23rd birthday party. And back in those days, I was really scared of, oh, what if I get cancer? I'm so scared. But then my friend told me, we were drunk. My friend John Conway told me, you're already dead. You're, like, nobody's going to live forever. And then, okay, fuck yeah. Then the fear went away. Still, stress remained about my work life and my family. Like, oh, what's my family going to do if they fall sick? Then, well, after I saw this divine presence, this 9 meter tall, I don't know, Demeter-like figure, goddess figure. And, like, it was not like a dream. It really came to me. Okay, I will say it's a dream because that's the conventional way to explain this. But she came to me, and I haven't given a flying fuck ever since. I am still worried, of course, if I fall sick, or, if I'm in financial woes, I am still worried, but I don't let that go to the core of my personality anymore. So these are prophetic dreams. So let's go over them. There are visions of future with intent. There are visions of future without intent. There are visions of dead relatives. And there are divine presences. And these can be good and bad. So those are prophetic dreams for you. Alright, that's that for prophetic dreams. Now there is the elephant in the room, and boing, these are the sexual dreams that everybody keeps having but nobody gets to discuss. And I think these are also influenced a little by biological gender. I think as a biological male, I've had more sexual dreams than I would have had if I was born a woman. But yes, this category is also a bit weird because I think sexual dreams can go under a number of different categories. I mean, certainly when I was like a horny 18-year-old, I had more sexual dreams that were probably basic reflex sorts of dreams. In fact, there's a word for this thing in the Turkish language. It's called hamamcı olmak, which means to be due for the Turkish bath, which means when you wake up with a uh-oh stain on your pants, and it means you've been dreaming about something nice. So yeah, there are like basic reflex dreams that are sexual in nature. I think there are also extraneous dreams that are also sexual in nature. Remember what we discussed about seeing random people that were just too real, Well, sometimes when you see those people, you also get to do other things with them in your dreams. I mean, At least this happens to me on a regular basis. I don't know about you, but yeah, I'll just tell it like it is. And then there are also, I think, dreams which people might call hopes and fears sorts of dreams, or even lucid, or dare I even say prophetic dreams that are of a sexual nature. So maybe this should have been like a band in these separate rays and not a separate category. But yeah, I just designed it that way because that's the deal with sexual dreams. I mean, without getting too personal, there are sexual dreams that are just reflexive nocturnal emulsions, and that's really common when you're really young. And sometimes you see strange new people that you've never seen before, but it really feels realistic. And then sometimes you see your past partners, and this can either be in the hopes and fears category, or maybe if you're hopeful, sort of a more lucid dream. And that is that. This is also, I think, really influenced by your biological gender once again. So let me know in the comments if you have a different take or perspective on this thing. And yeah, it is what it is. And I think in these days, 1 out of 10 dreams has this nature for me. But I think it changes by season, I think. And yeah, in colder days, I have them less often. And when it's hot and warm, chuba. Oh my god. Yeah. And then there are nightmares. These, once again, maybe instead of a separate pie division, these may have been abandoned in these streams because some nightmares are just more of a basic reflex kind. The most notable among these is the falling down nightmare, which you're like sleeping and you feel like you're falling down and you go, huh, like a little puppy dog, and you kick yourself back up. Then there are really topical dreams such as airplane crashes and earthquakes, which I keep having, and these could go under the extraneous view category, or sometimes even the lucid dream category. I have these nightmares in which I'm in a plane and it's just so realistic. I feel like, okay, that's it, I guess. And then I relax because, when you hit the ground, it won't hurt you anymore. And yeah, that's a kind of like dark sort of lucid nightmare. I also have nightmares about really strong and persistent nightmares about earthquakes, and this is because of a personal thing that happened to me. In the 17th of August 1999, a great earthquake hit the Turkish Marmara Sea, and basically my grandmother was killed in it. And then it precipitated like the downfall of our great dynasty. My grandfather also passed away because of his pain, and then because he was the only person in the family that worked, basically, our family lost a lot of money, and there were these like really ugly scrapes between my father and my aunts, and just a really dark time. So after that incident, in fact, even to this day, when I sleep, I have to have like a t-shirt over my eyes, or like some cloth over my eyes, because I rest easier. And I also cannot sleep with the windows closed, or when I'm in a hotel and the hotel has these night curtains, I never use them. So the window has to be open and it has to let light in, but I have to have my personal light t-shirt over my eyes. And this happened because of my intense fear of a second earthquake hitting Istanbul, or like getting killed in it. It's really dark. And in the year 2023, there was also a big earthquake which killed hundreds of thousands in Turkey, and nobody I knew was killed, but people still are coming to terms with it. So it's really dark, and everybody swept that under the subconscious rug. So these earthquake nightmares keep coming. To me, they're a cross between lucid nightmares and basic reflex nightmares. I've had cases where I was just sleeping and I thought the ground was shaking. And this especially happened to me during COVID, when I had some sort of vertigo. And I confused the vertigo with the earth shaking. and I would jump out of the bed screaming. And then some of these earthquake dreams are just lucid nightmares, and they're really dark and grim. But then you got these night terror kind of dreams too, in which I think many people experience these, in which you are like lying down trying to sleep, and then something is pressing down on your chest. You can't wake up, but you want to, and you feel that there's a dark entity in the room with you. Now, depending on the way you view it, these could be counted as basic reflex nightmares, because maybe it's the limbic system paralyzing itself or something. Or maybe they could be lucid or even prophetic nightmares, where like an actual entity is visiting you. Now remember what I told you about my alien abduction prophetic dream? Maybe it was just a basic case of a really prevalent but otherwise basic sort of night terror. And then I've noted in a few remarkable cases this other weird sort of night terror, in which I'm sleeping and I either see like a scary face in a flash, or I just hear a scream in a flash. And these could go into either category, but maybe for its weird potency, I classified nightmares and sex dreams as separate slices of the big ass mysterious dream pie. And there's also another category of dreams which I don't know where to put, so maybe we can also consider themselves under nightmares too. These are dreams in which I feel an intense feeling of anger and rage, and sometimes these are directed to people who are or who were close to me. You know, I hate you, maybe unexpressed trauma or like unexpressed feelings, let us just say that much. But it's a really grim feeling, but I hesitantly categorize them under nightmares. But maybe they are hopes and fears sorts of dreams, or maybe they're just extraneous views, or I don't know. So Daddy Cosman's categorization, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, ping, is imperfect. What do you think? Do you think we could add more sections, or maybe nightmares and sexual dreams could be separate subsections in each otherwise intact category? Let me know in the comments. But now let's look at a certain hypothesis I have developed studying my own dreams over 15 years. And this is, let us consider a dream of world conduits. Now, throughout my narration, we have considered what if these are things taking place in your own skull, you know, there's neurons misfiring, or the brain's conceptual, whatever it is in our brains that makes us seek patterns and come up with concepts for our daily lives. Maybe that thing is misfiring and we are having contexts and patterns without input. So it's a bit like the shitty computer AIs firing, you know how those AIs are trained, right? They steal a bunch of images, they train a random fog filter over it. They say it's artificially like a neural network, but it's just like looking like it's like storing a lot of images and trying to create something similar. So maybe that could be an imperfect allegory. You know, the more you live, like the more you think about sex, the more sex dreams you have. Now, I personally am a surrealist painter. And I'm also really interested and knowledgeable in evolution. So maybe because my brain has been trained with these things, I keep having like really realistic creature dreams, like the tiny midget turtles and shit. But maybe that's an imperfect analogy. And remember this always when you're considering the mysteries of the subconscious. Always people have used shitty, imperfect, technological analogies and allegories when trying to ponder the subconscious. In older days, they used to say it's like a wayward radio signal. Before the age of AI, they would say that it's like the brain's computer storage malfunctioning. Now in the age of AI, we see the brain dreaming itself. In fact, one of the earliest image generating AI systems was called the Google Deep Dream. So there's a distinct link between us trying to understand ourselves and our pitiful technological tinker-tanker toys. But leaving that aside, let us assume now, okay, it's imponderable, but there's a non-zero chance that all these dreams and all this weirdness also taps into something extraneous from time to time. So let us now imagine a view of the world. A dark vacuum of nothing. Now let us imagine this blue circle is the real world, the quote-unquote real world as we know it. It stays the same after we wake up. When you smash a glass in your living room, you go to sleep, and you wake up, you step on the fucking glass and cut your foot. It stays there. So I think we can all say that there's a real world that stays the same whether we dream or not. But now, for a hypothesis' sake, let us entertain a vast region where a sort of dream space is real. Now, this may be a platonic realm of ideas. This may be a kind of spirit world in which a non-corporeal existence overlies our own. This could be the infinite parallel universes matrix that I've been talking to you about. Not only there are infinite parallel universes, but a lot of these are infinitely similar to ours. All these parallel universes, ranging from the wildest ones where, insects were the dominant form of life on land, to the most mundane worlds where a girl was studying art in college and she picked red instead of blue for one particular drawing, and other than that everything was the same. If you imagine the possibilities, maybe this is the rhizomic network of parallel universes that all borders each other and also happens to border our world. Now, that's me. That's the human observer. His or her body and existence remains, of course, rooted in the world. But maybe when we are dreaming in this yellowish halo place, that's where we interact with this rhizomic network of tangent universes or whatever that thing might be. And maybe that's why we can go into these extraneous dreams and sometimes bring actual artifacts, ideas, music, visions from the dream world into the waking world. In fact, I think everybody knows this story of, I think it was Niels Bohr, or another chemist, who dreamt of snakes biting their tails. And he woke up and he understood the benzene ring, the ring structure of certain molecules. And it was a revolutionary discovery in chemistry. Now, what is to say other discoveries are not like this, shitty psychedelic art and stoner music is not the only thing we can import from this yellow world to our waking blue world. Just think about it. And then, to complicate things further, the world is full of billions of individuals, all able to interact with this dream space on their own, and maybe even influence the way these infinite rhizomic parallel universes are networking or even collapsing into reality. Remember, we talked about prophetic dreams. Maybe the dreams make those results true. But then you might ask, okay, but, the universe is too big for that to, the universe is too big to occur just through the weird dreams of even a few billion people. Because even as complicated and weird as people's dreams are, they're kind of limited, I mean, your dreams cannot explain like fungus growing in an Australian jungle. Or your dreams cannot explain like one act of liquid water dynamic taking place in the ocean. Oh, but listen, the world is full of other sentient entities, animals, basic quote-unquote animals, even plants, fungi, bacteria. The more you study living things, the more you understand that they are self-aware. Even insects, they have more limited sensoria, but I think it's pretty clear to see, even when you look at flies feeding, that these animals are self-aware, they feel hunger, they act upon the world with a knowing will. Now, what is to say that this doesn't filter down all the way to bacteria or even viruses? Maybe every living thing is self-aware and able to dream. And maybe those dreams, in some infinite rhizomic networking, actually make the universe possible. Consciousness, through phylogenetic diffusion, creates vacuum collapse out of this big yellow, unpredictable muck, this haze of possible and infinitely irrelevant parallel universes. All these conscious things dreaming, we collapse it into the blue world seen here. And maybe that's the guiding force in evolution. Now, you can also go even more insane by considering the possibilities of beings that only live in the yellow world and don't even step down to the blue world. And maybe these are the jinns and the spirits and the demons and the ghosts and higher arcana that all world religions have been afraid of and have been imperfectly articulating. Who knows? I mean, if this is a world of, if this is like a Petri dish of parallel universes, maybe there are just information patterns here that don't collapse the possibilities, but still exist on their own right. Certainly something to think about. And personally, this understanding I've arrived at, which I'm trying to tell you here, makes up part of my worldview, my understanding of the world, even dare I say my personal religion. I was asked recently by a personal friend if everything happens for a reason or not. Maybe that's why everything happens for a reason. And this is why we also get surprises, because the universe is not this secret kind of shit where you dream and manifest $1 million into being. It doesn't work that way, because everything is dreaming and manifesting things into being. Up to and including the bacteria and the insects and stuff. So that's why the world throws curveballs at you. And that's why, maybe, still to a degree you have this power. But it's more limited because the kind of probability collapse or like willing truths into existence, it's all interfered with the willing the truth to existence of all other living things as well. And then maybe you could even change this model considerably. Maybe this is not just a big network of living creatures dreaming each other, but there's also a big eye of God looking down on the world and making it real, setting down certain rules. Daddy God's big, safe eye. Just think about that. And then maybe that's where the evolutionary theory, the understanding of evolution, comes into being. Evolution, instead of being stupid materialism, is actually the way the branching tree of life has been collapsing this random yellow probability soup you've seen here. Maybe that's how it is collapsing into reality. As life forms diversify from mere bacteria to more quote-unquote sophisticated beings, The world comes to form around them and takes shape accordingly. And I think this is my chip of contribution, because I'm not the first person to have such a hunch, but I think I'm one of the, if not the first, to combine this with an understanding of how life grows and evolves. You don't need to resort to creationism to make this model work. So in summary, maybe we all dream, all life dreams, and in doing so makes the world coalesce into being. And when you're sleeping, the dreams of flies and moths and rats and pigeons and Komodo dragons and trees and shit, that's what keeps the world in a single shape when you're asleep. And then when they're sleeping, you take over. And that's how our universe is formed, a collaborative Minecraft project, dreamt to existence by the billion-year dominion of physical life on Earth. How about that? Think about that when you go back to sleep tonight. Alright everybody, that's been CM Kozeman's Mystery Hour. We started with the dreams and we arrived at a workable semi-hypothesis that combines multiple universes, evolutionary theory, and the world of dreams into one yummy Daddy Kozeman pie. If you watch this far, I need you to comment in the comment section, "I'll dream of you tonight, Daddy Kozeman." And thanks for watching, and once again, if you enjoyed what I've been doing, please consider supporting me on Patreon, and the other links, they're all in the video description. I've been wanting to do this video for some time, and it's really relieving to get this out there, you know. I hope you enjoyed this. I love you all, and I hope you dream of me. Goodbye. Dünyaya geldim anda ne ne ne ne ne ne ne ne ne ne. Yürüdüm aynı zamanda ni ni ni ni ni ni ni ni ni ni ni. İki kapılı bir handa yürüyorum gündüz gece, gündüz gece, gündüz gece. Oh.